Now for my DC portion reviews of the week. First off, Blackest Night Tales of the Corpse. This came out 1 week after the first one because it's a 3-week miniseries and stuff. You know, it's all this really is just backstories. I mean, the only lanterns featured are a Red Lantern. We get to see Carol Ferris about how she became Star Sapphire again, and Orange Lantern. I thought it was interesting to see Carol, but that's pretty much the only reason I'd recommend this. So 7 out of 10, really. Get this just for Blackest Night, just for a Blackest Night, you know, side story, whatever, you know. Okay, don't want to waste too much time on this. For Green Lantern number 43 with the zombie John Jones. Okay, it opens up with the Black Ring finding John's grave on Mars. Ring finds him, and he comes back from the dead. Meanwhile, back at the plot, Barry Allen and Hal Jordan look at the remains of Bruce Wayne, see who robbed the grave, but Black Hand only took the skull, and John Jones appears as a zombie. He does briefly transform to his, you know, Martian form, but then goes back to zombie appearance, and he scans Barry and Hal for their ring auras or whatever. Hal's, of course, is Will, but Barry's is Hope. And then eventually Barry's becomes Fear, Hal's still Will, and it's a fight. And it becomes a fight and the issue is just pretty much a fight between Hal and Barry. It was a good fight, though. John's trying to make him dead again by saying that how would Barry feel if he had to leave Iris and Wally again. And then, if Hal died right away, he would go straight to hell because of his sins as parallax. And they land in the fire station, and Barry says, "We need a lot of fire." And then Hal says, "Not exactly the place to find it." Sarcastic banter. That's always fun seeing the team up. And then, meanwhile, back on Oa, the Guardian Scar has the Guardians tied up, saying that she's going to resurrect a new army, one that doesn't feel emotion because the Manhunters and the Green Lanterns have failed to keep peace in the galaxy. So now we have the Blackest Night battles: green versus red, orange versus blue, and yellow versus pink, or purple, violet. Yeah, that's what they're called, violet. Then Barry's trying to get through to Jean, but it's not working. And that he says that Jean was fascinated by Earth because of the one thing they didn't have on Mars: law and justice. Then John knocks him dead. You see the bat signal go off briefly because, well, you know, we're still in Gotham. And John says half the league is gone, and that justice is dead. Meanwhile, we cut to John Stewart trying to forgive himself of what Fatality said, to forgive himself for what happened to his wife. And then the rings go off. Black rings. And then he notices the black rings. So, obviously, his wife's going to come back. Green Lantern 44 was good. I give it an 8 out of 10. I would recommend, still get this for Blackest Night and stuff, because, you know, you still have to read Green Lantern Corpse. Just saying. Alright, and now for the main DC title I was really excited about. Final Crisis, Legion of Three Worlds, number 5. It has been almost 3 months after Final Crisis has ended, because we've been waiting for this one to finish. Not to say it wasn't worth it, though. I mean, Kid Flash, Superboy, they came back. That was awesome. Okay, so let's get to reviewing. It takes cover shots at the end of time. Superman and Saturn Girl, Cosmic Boy, and Lightning Lad, who I will refer to as the Future Trinity because they're like the future 3 big stars of the DC universe in the future, against the Time Trapper, who has been revealed to be an adult Prime. Meanwhile, back in the future, no reference, it cuts to Superboy, Kid Flash, Adam Yan, and every single Legionnaire fighting Prime. I love this part where Superboy and Kid Flash charge at him and say Titans together. Brought back some good times. So they're fighting, and then eventually the Time Trapper told them that they would fail, but then... Oh, and Prime punches Wildfire, though. That was low. And damages his suit, though. That kind of had me worried. But then, when Time Trapper keeps telling them that they'll fail, Superboy shoots a heat vision blast at Prime, and all of a sudden that scar from his chest appears on the Time Trapper, saying that it's just a possible future he saw. It won't happen. Then, eventually the Legion Trinity decides to amplify their flight rings, because they're at a point where they can have access to all multiple Earths, and they just figured they'd access it to summon, well, almost 1,000 millions of Legionnaires. A couple cameos and stuff. There's Earth 1 Supergirl and Bippo, the Super Chimp. And, yeah, a lot of old character drawings and stuff. It was cool. Meanwhile, in Metropolis, White Witch absorbs Mordred's magic and becomes all the magic Mordred had, and becomes the Black Witch. Okay, and then we get a reappearance by Bouncing Boy, yay, and Duo Damsel, who's now learned to make more than 3 duplicates of herself, who's now known as Duplicate Damsel. And they turn the tide on the Legion of Supervillains. Meanwhile, with Prime, they decide to bring the Time Trapper to meet him. And so Prime just, like an idiot, like the dumbass that he is, if there are people who like Prime, then, I'm just going to stick by my comment. The kid's a dumbass. He punches the Time Trapper, and then, well, there's that whole, touch time thing about time that's confusing. They disappear, and, well, the battle has won. And it's revealed that Prime went back to Earth Prime, which is what he wanted. Unfortunately, he forgot that Earth Prime is like our world, and his family's been reading all the issues of Infinite Crisis, Sinestro Code Wars, and Legion of 3 Worlds. And the girl who liked him, his girlfriend Lori, ran away, and his parents are ashamed and afraid of him. Meanwhile, they're saying the Legion's rebuilding Metropolis in Smallville. They're saying the memoirs about their fallen comrades. And good news, Sodom Yacht restarts the Green Lantern Corps. The Green Lantern Corps, sorry, I always get that word mixed up. And then, luckily, Sector 2814 Ring has already found a replacement. Sunboy rejoins the Legion, and eventually the Black Witch returns to the Sorcerer homeworld, saying it's her world now, so, possible enemy, so. And we have a little snippet at Starman at McDonald's. Then, Superman points out that he thought Earth Prime was destroyed, but Brainiac 5 says that the third Legion that appeared is actually the Legion of Earth Prime, and that they'll be there in case, Superboy Prime gets out of control again. So then eventually Bart asks Access to come with him to see their grandma and Wally, but she said she wants to stay to know this Earth. And after the Legionnaires leave, Brainiac 5 says he's going to go get a haircut. Meanwhile, at the present, Superman assembles all the Titans together and doesn't tell them why, but then Superboy and Bart appear. Superboy and Kid Flash appear. And Superboy even says his last words again. I know, Cass, isn't it cool? And then, heartfelt reunion by all. Meanwhile, back on Earth Prime, Superboy Prime is now in his family's basement, reading on past issues, and apparently he mentioned something about, tells his mom to bring him his grilled cheese, and that you don't want what happened to Lori to happen to you. I don't know what that means. Brainiac mentioned he was depowered. And then, eventually, he says that they can't stop me, and he logs on to the DC Universe forums. And his eyes start to grow red again. And he says, they'll never get rid of me, I'll always survive. I loved this series. Not because of the, Legion of 3 Worlds, but just because Superboy and Kid Flash came back. That was what I wanted. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop here, so, later.